Okay, speed run. For some reason, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement one slot at a time, so I'm just going to do one slot, and then you put it in there and you pick it up in the right hand. But right now, I don't know why that doesn't appear normally. So there's this thing, I forgot about this. It's accessing indexes that are greater, indices that are indexes, whatever, it sounds better, that are more than how many are in equipped items. Equipped items is set somewhere, but it's trying to access, go to where it's trying to access too large, we go here, and it's getting this index. The problem is that there are too many children. For some reason, the children go to equipped items, get all children. It's returning too many. I think we have to go to the inventory and figure out how many children there are. Like, it has to be this math. Like, how about we, and then we just print, let's just see how many times print it does. Or, oh, I guess it's just not showing. Yeah, see, that's showing a bunch of times. Why is it showing that many times, though? Why is this triggering so many times? That's the question. So, this loop, there's too many things. Last index. Equipped item columns times equipped item rows. These get set in places. And then we just do this loop. Create a slot, we add it. Create a slot, add it. We add it to the right widget, yes. Equipped item columns and rows. These are set. They have to be set in the beginning. So it should be, this is how many equipped item columns there are and rows. So how many are there? They're in the character. 1 and 5. 1 row, 5 columns. It shows that there's the right amount. It displays the right amount. Okay. -1. Okay. We're sizing it to fit. We're sizing the index. What is the issue? It's the array of this. So it looks like it's being sized properly. It's been given 5 columns, 1 row. That's 5 minus 1, so it goes from 0 to 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 slots. Blanks it out, so it gives it 1 and then gives it another until there's 5. And then it does other things, maybe. And it goes into the widget, sets these. This is 1, this is 5. And then saves the widget. And then in the widget, sets this thing size and then does a loop. A bunch of times and then completes. Goes here, sets its size. Does a loop. Oh, that's why. That'll do it. That will do it. Motherfucker has too many children. So why was it doing that only on... What? Wonder why it wasn't showing in the beginning. Why was this doing that? So if we did it in the loop here, that means that it would have a whole bunch of extra children. Oh, I think that's what it was. Well, I was going to say, if you open it and there's a whole bunch of blank slots here, blank spaces of empty children, then we only add stuff to the first children, then maybe the children were like pushed off the screen or something. But, okay, note. All right, fix that. Slots, equipped slots, appear when opening inventory. Nice. Okay, well, that was simple. It's the only, it's just like including another loop inside your loop on accident. Excuse me. So now this is happening 25 times or however many columns. Oh no. Oh no. That'll do it. I have 5 columns and 5 rows in the inventory or in the chest. So that's 5 times 5, that's 25 times however many we had. So that's 75. That is why. That's why it's good now. Cool. So now we have slots that work. I'm going to just say 1 for now. So if I do 1 and 1, I think that should be good. So this will be the equipped slot. And then I'll put an item there, and the end goal will be for it to go to the hand. So like I'll drag an item here, and then you'll see a sword appear in my hand, or you'll see this dagger appear. You know what? That's actually a good idea. So I'll add it, and it will add the dagger, and it'll be good. That's how it'll go. So it'll create, I guess, I don't know how that'll work actually, because like if I just started the game and there wasn't this skeletal mesh here, maybe when you drag it, it puts the skeletal mesh of it in your hand. And so there'll be different versions of the item. There'll be the items, there'll be the actor version of the item, which gets dropped on the floor. But then maybe there's also the skeletal mesh version of it. So when you put it in your hand, you get the skeletal mesh of it. And everything has a unique name. So if you put it in your hand and then you put it back in your inventory, then it just spawns whatever info corresponds to the dagger in the hand, maybe. I wish it was just one item. I take an item off the floor, I put that item in my hand. I want to see if I can do that. Like if like what really is this? It's a skeletal mesh component. These are all components. I'm wondering if I can just add an actor. Like if I just actor sequence? I don't even know what a sequence is. Child actor, a component that spawns an actor and I don't know. So maybe that's how it'll be. We'll have the item in the hand, and then, oh, I guess that's what it'll do. So I technically I'm putting the item, so I'm picking it up off the floor, and I'm putting it here, which will be the slot where my hands equip. And I have the item. It's in my 26th slot. It's just like it was here, but instead it's in my hand. And these are my hands. So this is my backpack storage. This is literally my hand. So I put an item in my hand and it appears in my hand. And then if I right click for my left hand or I left click for my right hand, then, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Because your right click is your secondary, your left click is usually your primary, right? And then we just use whatever it is. So I'll right click and then heal with a bandage, or I'll left click and then swing my sword, or I'll right click to block with my shield and then left click to swing my sword and slash. So I'll put it in my hand and I'll have all that item's information stored in this slot in this separate inventory. And when I add it to this hand, what it does is it just creates the skeletal mesh version of it. So like anything that I have that is an actor, it has its own mesh. Just like there's a character blueprint, there's character meshes that go inside that character blueprint. Oh, assets, what am I doing? These go inside it. Just like if you go to actually the character, the inventory, the items, there are items, but then I can go and actually search cone, and cone is a mesh. So there'll be one mesh, or maybe the mesh gets modified. Maybe the item has properties that the mesh will get. So like maybe I take this item and the item is a sword, and then I take another item and I craft it onto it, and then it turns the sword black. Well, now that item stores the information that it's black. And then when I equip it, it spawns the static mesh and then applies that same information to it. So now it gives it a black tint. So now it's actually a black sword. So I can change the item, and the item just basically puts its value, puts its information onto the character's visual appearance. and then I can use it. I can cast to, yeah, I guess the items in my hand. So we would say on interact are you holding an item? If you are, does it implement this interface? Let's just say use item. If you're holding something that can't be used, like I'm holding this, let's say this is just a brick and I'm holding a brick now, but we can't do anything with a brick. Well, you throw bricks at homeless people, but in this case, we'll just say you can't do anything with a brick. We'll say it's a lid of a candle holder or the lid of a candle and I'm holding it. I can't do anything with it. So it doesn't do anything. But if I'm instead holding a sword, then use item stab. So instead of this being right click to attack, it's right click to use whatever the item is. And it just so happens that using a weapon item will then go and trigger my attack logic with the item. And it will pass all of its attack information, its damage, its length, all this other stuff, and the attack will work for it. So I could have all these different types of weapons. I got a halberd and a dagger and a spear and a sword and all this, and I have one attack logic. Maybe I have some things that correct depending on what happens. Like my attack for a spear should not be the same attack as a sword. Like you can thrust with both, but a spear, you're going to do two hands, all these different things. So I'll have one set of attack logic, and it'll just go through these checks each time I have an item, and it'll just execute whatever I have. So it'll be like, attack. Well, is it a sword? Yes. Do this. No? Is it a spear? Yes. Do this. No? Is it this? Etc. That's how it'll be. Or it could just be... Yeah, I guess that's what it is. That's probably what it'll do. It'll just pass it information, and then it'll just execute the proper function. So it'll be, maybe it's spear attack, maybe it's this attack. Maybe there's different things. So, I think that makes sense. Let's see, all this stuff still works. Drop all these things on the floor. These only stack up to, okay, I don't know where one of them went. I guess that's the one. Yeah, must have been. These guys only stack up to 2. They swap, boom, good. We go here. Have this guy. Go and equip from the chest. Excuse me. Not yet, obviously. We go back in and the item's actually still there. Cool. That works. I'm happy with that. Clean up. Next is implement equipped item slots. So next time I'm going to go into my inventory slots now because I actually have to make these slots do things. Okay. These slots need to do things because right now these do things, these do not do things. So like I can drag this around in here, but if I drag it here, this isn't a slot. It doesn't, I mean, it's a slot, but it doesn't, I don't have any logic for this slot. Basically, I'll drop it here and there'll be logic that says, yes, you dropped it on a slot, but it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have any, it doesn't, yes, you started the game, but there's no character to spawn. There's nothing happens. So it just ignores it. But instead, I'm going to say, hey, when I drop it on this slot, that's an equipped item slot. When I drop something on it, check, is it equipable? If not, go back to where you came from. So like if I try and pick an item up off the floor and it's really, really, really heavy and I can't pick it up, well, it just fucking stays on the ground. So I try and equip a piece of paper, but right now I only have weapons equipped. Maybe this is my weapon slot. That's my weapon slot and that's my whatever slot. I can only put it in this slot. I can't put it in the weapon slot, so it'll just go back. It won't drop on the floor. So that will be that. Shit, I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay, that's it. Fun. I have the logic. I'm gonna go to, actually, let me just open this in advance or early. Hold my bathroom duties for a sec. Oh, gotta go.